I'm sure you have heard of some cult leaders who do unbelievable things to attract more followers to their group. But how do people just blindly trust these leaders? And what happens after realizing the true nature of these leaders? Let us focus on that in this video. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. They are spiritual abusers. The cult leader is not only a false teacher who teaches false teachings, but he also tries to control and spiritually manipulate the lives of his cult members. For instance, he can decide who you should marry and who you should not marry. He divides members from their families and also destroys happy marriages. No major personal decisions by various cult members are allowed to be made without consulting or without the knowledge of the cult leader. He brainwashes members to do unethical activities on his or the cult's behalf. He is also obsessed with controlling and manipulating his followers. He uses an authoritative leadership style and coercion techniques to control and manipulate his followers. Many members of the group end up becoming spiritually enslaved by the cult leaders after joining the group. Target the vulnerable with love bombing. Potentially dangerous cult groups or leaders may appear very nice at first. Affirm your independence and intelligence, massage your ego, and target vulnerable people who seek answers or are lonely. They are very good at creating the illusion that they really care about and love the people they target. This is called love bombing. Some members may even deceive themselves into believing that they truly love the people that they target, trying hard to engineer this feeling over time. Later on, their actions or lack of actions reveal the shallowness or falseness of this emotion. There is usually a sharp decline in interest and care in new members once they are converted. Many members have a difficult time when they find that all that love is replaced with judgment or contempt. Those who are not fully indoctrinated often try to leave at this point, not knowing that it is not as easy as it sounds. Narcissistic sense of self. Cult leaders believe that they are born to be superior to others. In fact, they are tempted to believe that no one can be superior to them. Cult leaders are also essentially self-centered and are driven by a sense of pride. In the end, cult leaders claim or imply that they have absolute power, status, and authority that comes only from God. Not only do cult leaders claim to speak on God's behalf, but they also believe and teach that to disobey the leader is to disobey God. In the Bible, there is a line mentioning the rise of false charlatans. This refers not only to false charlatans claiming to be God, but also to narcissistic charlatans who claim to have the same authority as God. And that's what exactly happening with some of the cult leaders. Superficial charm and charisma. Cult leaders are actors and manipulators. They know that uncovering your vulnerabilities, needs, and desires is the key to trapping you in slavery. Showing superficial charm and attraction to members or potential members is a way to distract people from seeing the deceptive and controlling character of the cult leader. In their minds, it is important to attract followers to themselves, so they feel a need to stand out and be noticed. Because inside, cult leaders constantly crave attention and admiration from their members. Therefore, the charm offensive is a crucial part of the cult leader's act to gain the trust and admiration of unsuspecting followers. Lack of guilt or remorse. The cult leader is a sociopath by temperament, and this makes him or her incapable of showing true empathy, guilt, or remorse for any kind of sinful behavior. For instance, a cult leader might not feel remorse about destroying marriages or exploiting and abusing his or her members because at their core, cult leaders are proud and arrogant. Sociopaths are known for their inability to show true love or empathy. Rather, they project superficial love and emotions, which always have the ulterior motive of trying to get something back in exchange for their own personal benefit and agenda. The Bible talks about false teachers who are hypocrites, liars, and have a sore conscience. This means that false teachers have a sore conscience because they don't feel sorrow or guilt for their sinful behavior. They don't see any need to repent. Instead, a cult leader usually tries to hide his or her sins from others, especially from their followers. Thus, their conscience is so scorched or deceived that they can't truly distinguish between right and wrong. Authoritarian leadership style. Cults leaders are always oppressive in the way they control their members. Some cult leaders will demand obedience from the members at the cost of obedience to the scriptures. They will also treat obedience to them as equal to obedience to God, implying that God is equal to the cult leader. This creates fear in the members, so they live to obey the cult leader rather than live to obey God. They teach the cult members to obey the cult leaders even if the cult leader is wrong. They create the illusion that the cult leader is infallible, that his wisdom and teachings cannot be challenged, even when they are wrong. For instance, some cult leaders will also promote authoritarian and submissive false beliefs like spiritual covering theology or shepherding movement doctrine. Take sexual advantage of their members. Money, power, and sex all play a role within a cult. When a cult leader has complete control and authority over his members, it is clear that he will take advantage of them sexually. Many cult leaders have a history of having an extramarital affair or sexual misconduct. Adultery and many other forms of sexual infidelity are very common in cults because of the cult leader's grandiose ego and the power imbalance within the group. In many cults, sex or sexual immorality is used as a means of control. The cult leader will also have sex with his followers as a way of controlling his members emotionally and psychologically. In many of these cults, the sexual immorality of the cult leader is also used as a way of getting new members to join the cult or as a way of bonding with the members. Cult leaders view outsiders as enemies or inferior. Cult leaders tend to have an us versus them mentality, where anyone who isn't a member is seen as inferior to the cult. This mentality is also the reason why cult leaders often advertise themselves under the pretense of evangelism, because they believe that anyone who doesn't belong to the cult isn't fully enlightened. That's why they believe that people need to be specifically initiated or recruited into the cult. As a result, the cult leader projects himself as the best among preachers and presents his doctrine as the best among other religious communities. Anyone who is not a member of his cult is considered a lost soul or an unbeliever. Anyone who does not agree with his or her theology is seen as an enemy. Similarly, his or her members are not permitted to associate with other religious groups or people who would expose the true deceptive nature of the cult. That is the reason why most of the time the leader isolates his or her group from former members, families, or religious groups that would expose the true character of the group and also of the leader. They view people as weak or unworthy of their own. Cult leaders often use emotional manipulation to make their members feel special and loved by them. They use sweet words to speak to their members and even create dreams and visions or special messages from the Lord for some members. If a member questions the decisions of the cult leader, they will not like it and behave rudely. The cult leader may also use controlling phrases such as, "I taught you," and "if it were up to me," to make the members feel that they are not good enough, weak, or worthy on their own. The members of the cult will then have their self-esteem and self-worth reduced and tied to the church or ministry of the cult leader and become their subjects or servants. Won't allow the meme-eaters to leave the cult easily. Under normal circumstances, a church or religious group would allow you to move to another similar group if you stayed in the same religion. This is because the belief system is what matters, not the organization. So if you are a Christian, you can go to another church and still be a Christian. However, a cult or cult leader will tell you that you are only saved or successful in the organization or ministry. They may even threaten you with a message from the Lord to tell you not to go to another church, or they may use other aggressive or violent methods to stop you from living out your faith. They say no other church or ministry is true, because in their minds, all other beliefs are false and fall short of the mark. According to them, it is not your belief in God that determines your future, but your belief system as well as your membership within this particular group. The cult leaders will lead you to believe that there is no other way to be saved, and that if you ever leave the cult or leave their church or ministry, they will say that you will go to hell. It's a fear-based control tactic designed to create fear and control in you and keep you within the cult. Before we wrap up, if you would like to know about the most bizarre religious beliefs in this world, click on this video. Thank you for watching the video, and if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.